Venezuela has accused the U.S. military of boarding and temporarily occupying a fishing boat in the waters off the South American country on Friday.
The Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela denounces that the Venezuelan vessel, manned by 9 humble tuna fishermen in waters belonging to the Venezuelan exclusive economic zone, was illegally and hostilely assaulted by a U.S. Navy destroyer, equipped with powerful cruise missiles and manned by highly trained Marines. This incident reflects the shameful behavior of political groups in Washington that, irresponsibly, commit extremely costly military resources and train soldiers as tools to fabricate pretexts for military adventures, also undermining their own prestige and military honor by executing such a grotesque and excessive maneuver.
The Venezuelan Foreign Ministry added that the vessel was engaged in permitted fishing in waters under the jurisdiction of the Republic. This comes as Venezuela has reinforced its border with Colombia as well as its Caribbean coast with additional troops. The country's defense minister has said these measures are only aimed to maintain peace amid the ongoing standoff with the U.S. Last week, Trump's Navy killed 11 people in a missile strike on a boat in neutral waters that Washington claimed was carrying narcotics from Venezuela to the U.S. The Pentagon has sent several warships to patrol the region as part of a so-called war on drugs. Let's now discuss this with City University of New York Latin American Studies Professor Daniel Shaw. Many thanks for joining us on the programme. It's good to see you. First of all, what's your take on the latest incident that Venezuela has called an illegal assault on a fishing vessel?
Thank you, Nikki. This is the same colonial bullying. The United States has long, illegally, in a unilateral way, surrounded Venezuela. It sought to choke Venezuela's economy, starve its citizens, leading to some 7.7 million Venezuelans having to flee their country since the 2014 Obama-era sanctions. So this is more of the same, the colonial bullying. I just returned from Lebanon and Jordan, and the first thing you hear when you enter those countries are U.S., Western, and Israeli drones. They're trying to do to Venezuela what they've done to so many countries in the Middle East, and that's invade, occupy, and overthrow a government that they cannot control.
So how are such incidents being justified by the U.S. government?
First of all, there's no mention of it here in the mainstream media. They claim the 11 Venezuelans, or we don't even know if they were Venezuelans last week. So this is 2 weeks in a row that the U.S. has acted aggressively. Their presence in the Caribbean seas is unwanted. It's unwarranted. It's illegal. President Trump, all he said was, well, we saw a bunch of different bags and boxes and there must have been drugs inside. So it's amazing that they can murder with impunity, they can invade with impunity, and we have a citizenry here who continues to accept the mainstream narrative when most U.S. citizens know that the strongest forces behind the international drug trade are not from Venezuela. It's the, I asked my students this week, my college students, and they very instinctively said it's the DEA, it's the CIA, it's the FBI. They're the ones that control international ports and international waters. There's no way the $1 trillion cocaine industry could thrive without the collusion of the U.S. government.
Yeah, the U.S. recently put out a $50 million bounty for information leading to the arrest of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. What do you think Trump is ultimately expecting to achieve there?
They're doing everything they can to behead the Venezuelan Bolivarian leadership. They want a neoliberal president who will join them in the recolonization of South America. They want pliant presidencies. It doesn't matter if it's in Venezuela, Iran, or Russia. They will not accept any modicum of sovereignty, economic, geopolitical, or military sovereignty. So their goal since Hugo Chavez won the elections in 1999 has been to overthrow the Bolivarian government and to put pliant lackeys in their place. And I think everyone's aware of it. We've had demonstrations here across the U.S., but the U.S. Economy runs on war, so these are very scary times.
So what are the options on the table for Venezuela here? What can Venezuela do to safeguard itself in the face of such mounting U.S. military pressure?
Well, let's be honest. There's no way Venezuela by itself could ever stand up to the big bad bully that is the strongest empire in world history. That's the United States. Venezuela needs multipolar solidarity coming from Moscow and Beijing. And that's why they have this entire quote unquote Ukraine war, which has always been a U.S. NATO proxy war on Russia. So now Russia is bogged down. Russia can't necessarily offer the military solidarity or the BRICS nations. Hopefully they can. Many people have been celebrating the death knell, the end of U.S. unipolarity. But as long as there's a genocide in Gaza, as long as there's this proxy war on Russia, as long as they can surround Venezuela, it shows in many respects we still live in a unipolar world. Venezuela's only hope, and really any oppressed country in the world's only hope, is the BRICS plus nations in a strong multipolar bloc.
Many thanks for speaking to us. It's really good to hear your thoughts on this. City University of New York Latin American Studies Professor Daniel Shaw, thank you.
Thank you, Nikki.